Okay, well, I guess I'll do a little intro and then you guys can get into it. So, we have Beyond here and we have Dan Dynamic. Beyond is going to be holding the proposition that providing guardianship to rescued companion animals is vegan, and Dan is going to be taking the opposition. The winner will be based upon who concedes the debate. If nobody concedes the debate, then we'll put it to a voting poll in the debate chat text channel. If it does come to a voting poll, please base your vote off who you think performed better, who had the better argumentation, and who opposed the opposition better. You guys can get started.
Hey, so I'm taking the affirmative here. So, I mean, I think that it is vegan to rescue animals. I don't see how that would constitute anything. I think it not only increases the well-being of the animals currently in existence, but if we're rescuing them and not buying from breeders, which I do think is immoral, just to clarify that we're not actually contributing to the continued domestication of them, as I would be opposed to breeding them as well.
Okay, I guess my first question would be: do you have more than one definition of veganism?
I mean, in general, just think it means that you don't eat meat or you try to avoid animal products as much as you can.
Right. So the definition that is usually most referred to is the abolition of animal exploitation. It's the end to animal exploitation, as far as practical.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay, so are you saying that there may be more than one definition of veganism that doesn't include pets and one that does?
That sounded really weird, but you started sounding like a legit like devil for a second. Your mic just glitched.
Yeah, your mic was just glitching, Dan.
So, do you think that there's two forms of veganism, one that allows for pets and one that doesn't?
Dan, it's still doing it. Is there any way that you can just unplug your mic and plug it back in or something?
Okay. No, I think I just had to plug my laptop in. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but it's still very hard to hear what you're saying because it's still doing it.
I'm gonna try to leave and come back, I guess.
Okay, talk now.
Yo.
Okay, that's a lot better.
Okay, yeah. So do you think that there could be two different versions of veganism, one that you follow and one that I follow?
I mean, I think that it's possible. We use words, differently. That's just due to the private language problem.
Okay. So let's move on. I think the first thing I was going to point out is that you want to point out that you are using euphemisms to muddy your argument. You're avoiding using the proper terms. Like mild or indirect word or expression substituted for one considered to be too harsh or blunt when referring to something unpleasant or embarrassing.
I mean,
I'm wondering why you're using euphemisms to describe.
I'll just tell you. Okay, so my intention was just to create the most clear proposition that didn't have loaded terms. But if you think it's euphemisms, that's I could just grant that, but it doesn't refute the proposition, right? That we're supposed to be debating. So I think that's
okay.
Just tangential.
I'd like to note that you were trying to be clear, but ended up using euphemisms.
Sure, but it's tangential.
Okay. And then, I guess I put to the point that you are stating that there are two forms of veganism. One where abolition is the call of the day, and another one that uses special pleading to allow for one form of or allows for to allow for one form of exploitation.
Can you like elaborate on that? Because
Yes, so
what I like can agree to is that having companion animals, or what you would call owning an animal, I wouldn't call that necessarily exploitation.
So you're saying that it's an exception to the general or universal principle that all animals should not be exploited or owned?
No, I'm not saying it's an exception. I'm saying that it's actually not even in that category.
So
like it's not exploitation.
Okay, so what is it that takes it out of that category? Is it that the person loves the animal? Like, what is it the person is doing for the animal that justifies that, but doesn't justify someone like rescuing, say, a cow and then drinking its milk? So it treats it the same way, gives it a home, and it partakes of its milk, and says that's justified because they're sharing, because it's not in the same category as exploitation, because you're sharing symbiotically or whatever.
Well, I think we should probably just start by defining what we mean by exploitation.
Okay, I'm going to call argumentum ad dictionarium, because we had already established what exploitation of animals was with the veganism.
No, well, I mean, like we're just.
So did you not mean what you meant? So what did you mean when you meant veganism?
Well, just for the sake of like debating, right? I think we should be clear about what we mean when we say things, or when we lobby words around. So, depending on your definition of exploitation, right, there might be some weird territory that leads. So I might give you a reductio on your definition, and I can supplement my own definition to see if that leads anywhere weird as well. And then we can have people decide for themselves whether they think that your definition or mine is like really, really cringy or weird. It could be that mine is just really strange, right? And I'm happy to concede if that's the case. So,
are you making this definition up, or are you citing this definition from a source, or like, is this your own definition?
Well, I mean, I haven't even provided it, right? But I was just wondering, like, if you want to say that it is animal exploitation, I'd want to know what you mean when you say that. Like, can you define it?
Yes, the I can use the Merriam-Webster dictionary to define it as an act or instance of exploiting, which uses it in the definition. So I guess I have to go with to use, the utilization, especially but not explicitly for profit.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a second definition there too. If you keep scrolling, it'll say to use unfairly. So there's one that's to use just in general, right? Which would include like fair or reasonable use. Like, I'm using my chair right now, but it seems strange to say I'm exploiting my chair. That could lead to really treacherous territory if you want to go with that one, or you could just go with the standard like one. When I think the one that most vegans use is like unfair or unjustified use.
Okay. So do you think that there is a way to treat animals fairly, even though they can't consent? That's leading the question. Do you think it's fair to treat animals do you think it's fair to exploit animals that can't consent?
Do I think, well, I mean, no. like definitionally, right? Because you'd be saying, do I think it's fair to use them unfairly? No, absolutely not.
Yeah, to against their consent.
Yeah,
Do
but
you know
that, I
any
mean,
animals?
that's just
Do you know any
me.
animals that can consent?
Wait, but like,
Which
are
animals?
you?
Which of
Are
the
you?
animals in the animal kingdom can consent?
But I just for clarity, I want to know if are we going forward with which definition of exploitation are we going to use for this debate? Like
I mean,
the unfair use, or just general use?
both. Both could be used. But I mean, if you want to, like you want to move forward with the one that's best for your argument, right?
Well,
The one that allows for the most room for you to explore. So like, let's go with the one that you said that youth usually uses, the one that's unfairly. So we're going with the one that's unfairly. So I'm asking you,
sure. And
if there's any fair use of an animal.
Yeah, of
So you
course.
think you can fairly use an animal? It'll be fair.
Yeah, I mean, we
Okay.
we
Can you
use
give me
animals all
an
the time.
example? Can you give me an example of how you fairly use an animal?
Yeah, like there are worms and flies that defecate on and create soil, and then we use that for our crops.
Is that a sentient animal? I guess let me. I'll
Uh,
be specific. Can you give me a specific situation where you fairly use a sentient animal for your own
I mean,
gain?
I do have some high quality evidence that insects are likely sentient. So I mean, I don't think that's going
Well,
to
they don't have limbic
work. I mean,
systems. They don't have the utility, the limbic system piping at least. So for as far as we can tell, they don't. You don't. Yeah, you don't have any evidence, and the evidence stacked
I
up
have
is
evidence.
that. Well, I mean, I have evidence too that they have a proto-limbic system that doesn't respond the same as ours.
They have enough neurons to respond to noxious stimuli. Also, bees actually avoid making hard decisions. So it just doesn't make sense that they'd just be like a robot or an automaton.
So when you're saying like sometimes bees won't eat food and they're triggered, could it be that you are just personifying something that doesn't have a feelings or emotions or limbic system? It could be that it appears that they don't want to avoid that, but it could just be that they are chemically or electrically being signaled in a certain way.
Yeah, but that's the whole field. What the field of metacognition is trying to do.
Yeah, when you look at
the entire field of metacognition is trying to discern whether what you said is the case, or
let's look at the plumbing.
If the contrary is the case.
Let's look at the plumbing. Do you want me to pull up the limbic system for a bug? I think I have it right here. Somewhere. Like they're not like compared to an animal that responds with emotions and feelings. They don't have the same setup. So like it could appear that a computer is being lazy, right? Does that mean that a computer has feelings and emotions?
No, but I mean, I think that we have to. In metacognition, there's certain criterion that
we're kind of getting off the topic here.
Well, I'm just like illustrating that. Like, look, if insects are sentient, right, then it's the case that we use them all the time. Like we actually can't even avoid using.
So do you not walk outside to avoid insects and such?
Yeah, like if I can, then I will avoid it. But if I drive my car, it just it sucks.
Are you forced to own a pet? Can you avoid it? Is it a requirement? Would you die without owning an animal?
No, but
so it's not necessary.
But we can move forward to that point.
I'm just saying, like you clarified that owning a pet isn't necessary, and that you don't have to own one. And I don't know. I don't think we have to.
Well, I don't know what necessity does there. I don't know what it actually adds.
Well, is it one of the biological imperatives that you have an animal?
No, but I mean, if I'm saving that animal, then it would absolutely be
I'm
the
saying
animal's
that
biological imperative.
we use that argument to for reasons why we don't eat meat, right? Because we don't have to eat meat. We don't need to eat meat. There's no reason whatsoever, so there's no reason to try to survive.
I personally tend away from the necessity argument. I think it's really bad.
So is there anything in animal products that you need to be healthy?
No, I didn't say that.
Yeah. So it's a luxury item. It's not mandatory for survival. In a situation where you're not in a survival mode.
Oh, but so the distinction that I'm just going to draw is that it seems like,
I mean, I'm giving you like, you could have a case to exploit an animal maybe 30,000 years ago when you lived outside in the woods like alone and were vulnerable and needed others, and like a dog might have been an other. But that was it's been 10,000 years since the advent of modern society. We haven't needed
right,
to
and
for 10,000 years.
I can respect that. I can respect what you're saying.
It's been a luxury that we used them for this long, and we should have stopped before that. Just like slavery, like there was no good time to stop slavery. There's going to be no good time to stop exploiting animals. But I would posit that you're just trying to produce loopholes and use euphemisms and doublespeak to compartmentalize.
I haven't really said much, right?
Animal exploitation. That's all I'm saying.
Like,
so go ahead.
So I can respect what you're saying there, but it seems like there is a slight equivocation in that I'm actually, and I've said this from the start, that I'm actually opposed to the breeding of animals and the active domestication.
But what about supporting them? What about supporting the breeding of animals? Like when you pay money to a vet.
So what I don't want to have happen is where
I just
we have to call them on because someone's over talking.
I just want you to answer.
I want to finish.
When you pay money to a vet, what happens when you pay money to a vet?
Yeah, just to be clear, I want to allow the breeding of animals.
Does that support the pet industry?
Yeah,
I want him to clarify.
Yes. So, just to be clear, I do support the outlaw of the breeding of animals. There could be some cases, like edge cases, where some species that is required for an ecosystem is going extinct, and we can have like an animal expert or a wildlife expert interact with them. But I would want to keep our interactions really to a minimal. But the issue is with the animals that already have been domesticated, which I think it was wrong that they even were domesticated. But now that they're here, right, it seems like all we're disagreeing about is well, what do we do? And Dan might suggest that we murder them all, and I would just say that we should probably just rescue them, care for them, let them live out their natural lifespans, don't let them breed, and then we let them die naturally. And it seems like that's going to be good for the animals' interests. I think that killing them would actually go against their interest. In fact, right, it could be even just argued that would be exploitation, taking away the animal's interest for your own emotional gratification of ending their quote unquote exploitation, which is just to say that we're using them. But it seems like we use animals all the time, right? Like not only for like insects with our crops, but also I think about dogs all the time, right? Like if I'm painting a dog, I'm going to think of the dog. I'm going to conceive of it. It seems like I'm using the memory of the dog, which seems strange to call that exploitation. Even saying the word dog relies on some kind of conception of, so it just would be wrong to utter these words that I'm speaking. But it doesn't seem like anyone's going to say that that's inherently wrong. So we have to draw some line of what does constitute like the fair use, and what constitutes the unjustified or unfair use. And what's unclear is where Dan would want to draw that line. It seems like he wants to be an abolitionist, which means no use, but that's going to be impossible. So on that definition, Dan wouldn't be vegan. Even on his own definition, he would not even ever be able to achieve veganism. And I think that what we have to do is draw reasonable lines and agree on some kind of middle ground that is achievable, that is fair, that is best for not just us, right? Because when I rescue a dog from the street that's starving to death, I think that most people are going to say that that's a good thing, and that that's actually caring constitutes fair use, right? Like, sure, I might take a photo of an animal and put it online and ask if anyone wants to adopt it, and yeah, I'm using the animal's image, but no one's going to really say that that's going to be exploitation, because it seems like that's totally reasonable and justified to do. But I'm not sure what Dan's response would be to that, or if he even has one, because I don't know how he's going to get out of the reductio of that he's not vegan, that he can never be vegan, because we're always going to use animals in farming. You're going to use worms, right? Bugs. Those are going to defecate on the soil. You're going to need all of these things, right? We rely on these ecosystems. Like, we actually need to use these ecosystems, and in fact, they actually need to use us a lot less than we need to use them. So it seems like if we are in harmony with the ecosystem, that there seems like there could be some kind of balance that could be agreed upon.
Okay, so I'd like to address the point where you say that this is where you like kind of you use special pleading. You say that you don't support breeders, but that you still do all the actions that support breeders, like taking a dog to a vet, buying a dog pet food, buying it collars, supporting it, getting its vaccinations, walking it around, keeping it in your house. All of these things perpetuate and promote animal exploitation, and when you and animal domestication and the pet industry. So, and then
I don't know if I support all of that or the industry.
You tried to use let me talk. And then you tried to use special pleading that when you put a picture of the animal up on to be adopted, that's what's always going on. And that's ignoring the fact that most people are just putting on there for their own gratification and their own benefit, their own emotional gain.
I don't think I'm doing that.
They gain from other people looking at that picture. They click on them. They can bond with those people. They have a circle of you. And you said it seems reasonable because everyone keeps perpetuating it. It's the banality of the exploitation. And then back up a little bit to, what were you trying to say?
Well, I don't think I did any of that, but
okay, and then
was that it's futile to avoid all animal.
You're trying to say my reasoning. You're trying to ask why does it make it so I can kill them and still be vegan? Because I need to kill them. I don't want to kill animals. I don't want to eat them. I don't want to do anything with them. But I do need them to die to mitigate climate change. And I'm the only one of the people that is able to, that has the moral agency to get it done. Cows can't kill themselves. So I'm the only one responsible, because if we do not do our part in mitigating climate change, that is a moral and ethical irreprehensible due to the future of our planet. We are endangering people that aren't even born yet for our inability to take responsibility for the animals that we bred and chose to bring into this world. There is no going back, but we can take responsibility moving forward. I shared this with you. It's calling in the common good, reevaluating harm.
Let me respond to the one point, and then
reevaluating harms and benefits. I just want to show you that I'm like shit that other people talk about culling, and that if you're always
you're going to another point. I want to respond to this one thing about mitigating climate change. So I mean, you agree that climate change is obviously occurring. So we'd be talking about anthropomorphic or anthropogenic climate change.
It's a crime of doing nothing, though, right? We're waiting to do. It's because we think we have the time to wait to handle our problems. That's the same thing that's going on.
No. I agree that humans are contributing to this, and by bringing these animals, that's going to contribute as well. But like the reductio, right, would just be that humans also contribute to climate change in other ways, and if you're prepared to cause these animals to be serial killed to mitigate climate change, I would want to know why we would also serial kill humans to mitigate climate change.
You're ignoring the fact.
Why don't we just on your view, right? On your view, right? Without wait, just let me ask.
You're ignoring.
Let me just get out the question. So,
You did.
on your view, without special pleading, how would you begin to argue against bombing Africa to mitigate climate change?
You're ignoring the fact that humans have
Just
the moral
answer the question.
You're ignoring that humans have the moral agency to handle our own problems. I already did. I answered your question just a second ago.
So how about we handle our problems by
why don't we just put all the
mitigate climate
responsibility? Why don't we just put all the responsibility on animals and just call it a day? You're trying to
wait. I'm trying to.
You're trying to say that
Yes, it's going to trap you. It's going to trap you, right?
I'm trying to say that I can't kill animals to save the world because that would be immoral, even though it's a trolley problem. If the trolley problem was going, and you said you have to kill one person or 5 person, and I said, well, I guess I'll kill one person, and then you said that would be immoral. Do you understand? It's a trolley problem. We have to take responsibility for the problems that we have right now. Feral cats are a problem. 700 million wild dogs, 70 billion land animals that need to be culled or we all die. And not just us.
Like who else? Who else is contributing? Who else is contributing a lot to climate change, right?
Let me try to go back. Let me go back to the reductio you called me on. You said you tried to call me on a reductio. I would just like to say that it's also a perspective thing, because if you're at the bottom 90% of the people in the world as in terms of like wealth and poverty, it's going to be a lot different of a conversation than someone who's at the top 15 to 20%.
So the question is that still on the table is if we're prepared to kill animals to mitigate climate change.
Okay. Look,
why wouldn't we just
we're already killing people with climate change. I don't understand. Like if we're killing people with climate change,
not with it, but to prevent it, right?
No, climate change is already happening.
To mitigate it. Sorry.
Right. But climate change is happening right now, right? People are suffering from it right now.
I agree.
Right?
I agree. I don't reject that that's happening, but what you said, right?
But if it was happening to you right now, do you think your argument would differ from someone where it wasn't happening to them? Yeah, this is like a.
Well, I mean, I empathize with like third world a lot, so I'm gonna have a more sympathetic view than if you have someone else. But the question, right? The question that's still there, right, is do we act consistently about this? And also,
you're still trying to
kill humans to mitigate.
You're still trying to ignore the fact that I told you that that's not an option because we are the moral agents. It's too hard to kill each other. The only ones that we can
hard. No. Wait, that's not an answer. Wait, that's not.
Yes,
an
it
answer.
is.
So I'm asking. So in the real world, right? It might be too hard, right? But in principle, you should agree that it would be ethical.
Can you ask the animals to kill themselves? Can you reason with the animals? Or can you reason with humans? That's the difference. Like the thing is, we all have to reason with each other.
I think that's sort of.
Why are you interrupting me? We have to reason.
Well, it's adding an extra thing
with each other, and we're obligated to. So therefore, that is the reason why we can't just kill each other to solve the problem.
Wait, also, I'm trying to reason with you right now.
That would cause more damage. We cannot kill each other because we have nuclear weapons that assure our mutual destruction. So we won't attack each other.
But I'm unsure if I can reason with many other humans, right? Like I'm trying to reason right now, right? And I don't think I'm getting anywhere.
So you don't want to give up animals, right? Like you want to keep owning them.
Well, there's the question of bombing America, right? That America's contributing to climate change, right? And it seems like what you're. Do you have a response? Do you have an answer, right? Because I don't want to let this. I can let the question go after you answer, right? Like
I guess
you just say yeah.
I have to ask you to move beyond it and try to answer the question because I can't concede.
So you won't answer.
You understand how you're deflecting and you're providing a red herring. Like I'm telling you that we don't have
the question. You're deflecting the question, right? That I don't want is like to have to call them out in.
That we should include violence on each other. Some reason that we should include violence on each other.
You're including violence on animals, right? Yeah, you're including violence on animals.
Yes, necessary violence. So even if we killed each other, if we started killing each other, we would still have to kill the animals, right?
Yeah, to be consistent, would you say that that's
and okay? So to be consistent, I'm saying we are killing each other with climate change. So yes, I think we should.
Wait,
We are, right? You agree with me?
You know that's not honest. No, that's not an answer. That's not.
Yes,
No, that's not honest.
yes.
Can you hedge the answer, right? You said, "Well, we already are doing it." So
I don't agree with your premise. Friend, I don't agree with your premise. It's the same that if we have to kill all the animals, so too do we have to kill the humans. That's an appeal. It's an appeal to authority that doesn't follow the logic. The reason that we're killing the animals is because they can't be reasoned with. If we could reason with animals, it might be the case that they could stay alive and be part of society.
What are we going to tell them? Stop farting?
The problem is they cannot be in control of their own morality and autonomy. We took that responsibility when we bred them, and now we're responsible.
Dan, listen. You're talking about calling a moderator in here right now, but I feel like you're not letting Beyond respond to you at all. I realized that earlier Beyond got a little bit of an unfair response time, but you do need to let him respond now.
So I'm just wondering if the symmetry breaker there is that animals can't be reasoned with, then I'd want to know how would we even reason with them that would actually cause the mitigation of climate change. Like, it seems like cows managing their waste is what's causing this to occur, right? So are we going to just tell them don't defecate? It doesn't seem like if we could reason with them, that it would even make a difference.
Are you saying that the only way to mitigate climate change is to kill humans, though? Like, I'm still caught on this. Like, so you think that it's that it's comparable, that you have to, since it is the case that animals are not autonomous and that they need to be destroyed to mitigate climate change, that even though humans can be reasoned with and have their own moral agency, that they still bracket, and then they should, since they aren't, like, I don't understand. It doesn't follow.
No. I don't agree with any of that, right? Like, I'm just testing your consistency, but also I just show that it's sort of irrelevant. It's sort of like
that's kudzu. If there's kudzu, there's invasive kudzu. There's invasive kudzu.
I'm speaking.
It needs to be cut down.
Excuse me. So I've already just shown that it's sort of just irrelevant whether we can or can't reason with animals, because it doesn't make a difference to how much they defecate, which is what's causing a lot of climate change, right? Managing their waste products and the methane released. So it doesn't make a difference whether we can reason with them or not. It seems like what is relevant is controlling their breeding, not breeding them further. And it seems like, so that's my position. I disagree with your view. And I think a lot of people do. But if what you're saying is
practical, it's not practical to kill humans. You understand what I'm saying? If we start killing each other, we will bomb each other into the ground. It won't work. If we start killing cows, they will not respond and kill us back.
Yeah, but right? The problem is that doesn't work either, right?
The problem that you're saying is that you're trying to say that you're trying to strong arm me. You're trying to strong arm me and saying that we can't.
I'm not trying to do that.
We'll have to kill humans.
So
I do not concede the point. You need to explain to me why we have to.
That's fine. You don't have to concede the point, right? I'm just elucidating that saying that it's not practical to kill humans is not really a response, right? Because it seems like if you just polled people and just asked them, hey, is it practical to just murder your pet? I think a lot of people are going to say no. I think that's not really going to be a symmetry breaker either. So there must be something else, right?
If you say it's not practical,
and I hope they don't have to keep muting you. Like honestly, Dan, I don't want
practical. I don't want you to keep practical to throw their cigarettes away. They're going to be like, no. If you ask everybody if it's practical to throw their meat away, they're going to say no. Just because there's more people say it's practical than not isn't a justification or a valid excuse.
Yes.
Right. So that's the second time you tried to
get frame relative
You
thing,
tried.
right?
You deflected. You deflected onto killing humans, and then you went straight back into. I don't think that it is. You use seem. You've been using the words like seem and your intuition, and we can't even get past the fact that you like think that we can. Like I don't understand like why we have to kill humans, even though it's not practical. And I explained it to you why. How do we kill each other? How could we kill each other?
Well,
In a practical
did,
way, right? Practical means that we survive.
Yeah, so you lobbied a few symmetry breakers there, right? So I asked you, if you're prepared to kill animals to mitigate climate change, why aren't you prepared to kill humans to mitigate climate change, right? Because it seems like you could. It seems like you could do that, right? In principle, I'm not saying
beyond.
that
Ignoring that
I'm not saying that it even would be. Thank you. Sorry, I don't want the mod to keep meeting you, by the way, but you kind of do keep over talking. So I'm not saying that it would be practical to kill humans, right? I'm just saying, like, I'm asking in principle. I'm not even including any kind of pragmatic things, right? Because I could just give you a hypothetical and ask you, oh, hey, if it were practical to kill humans, you'd say it's ethical to kill them to mitigate climate change, which seems really, really weird. And I don't think you want to end up there. So I suggest just backing off the claim and providing some other line of rationale.
Okay. And I insist for you to explain how that would work out. Like, so you insist that we should just kill each other off anyways, regardless. So even if we remove the
No, I don't hold this view. I disagree with this view.
Then I don't hold that view either. You're red herring me. You're straw manning me. You're putting in a scenario that isn't happening. Okay, we've agreed that we're not going to kill each other and that we're going to cull the animals. Okay, so instead of trying to deflect and then going off on what you feel, like, you know, you got to give me or something, or this is where it ends pretty much, because I'm not going to consent to you straw manning me. It's the same as trying to say about.
I'm not trying to straw man you.
Like, you might as well talk about adopting babies.
But questions definitionally can't be straw men.
If I start talking about animals, calling all animals, and then you bring in the human species that I'm not talking about, would you consider that to be a red herring? Like, is that like at least, does it seem like a deflection to you? Could it be?
Well, talking about my view and talking about your view, right, and critiquing your view is irrelevant to my view, right? So I don't agree with the view. I was just testing your consistency, right?
You don't agree on what veganism is. I only think that there's one type of veganism, and that's abolitionist veganism. And you believe that there's a type of veganism that allows you to own animals as long as you are welfarist towards them.
As long as you're justified in...
Yes, as long as you justify it with whatever arbitrary means that you decide.
I don't think that it's going to be... Well, I mean, it depends what you mean by arbitrary. I think that there could be a consistent... But I do think that if you want to be an abolitionist in the sense that you're saying it, right, I don't think that's actually achievable as long as nature exists, right? Like, we need nature to survive.
I've explained to you why I want to cull them, right? So you're not trying to say that I'm not vegan for that reason, right?
But it seems like we need to use the animals.
You can see that I justified that point, like that I'm not trying to say that I just want this to happen because I don't like the way they look or I don't like the way they smell or they're taking up too much space. It's that we cannot mitigate climate change, and that is something that affects all of us. That goes beyond just my own personal desires.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know if, like, killing...
You can't concede that
dog.
You can't concede. Like, do you think there's a way to mitigate?
I don't know.
Should I show you?
Wait. Let me clarify. So I don't know if killing someone's dog, right, is actually going to mitigate climate change, or if it's going to have a substantial impact.
Okay,
it might just be the case that we prolong, I don't know, the inevitable collapse by like one trillionth of a millisecond or something like that. So I don't know if that would even be worthwhile.
Okay, well, let's go over how one dog causes climate change. All right, people spend money on that dog. It consumes resources. 25% of all CO2 in the United States is produced by animal food. It pollutes the ground. Nobody treats animal waste. let's see, it spreads
We
disease.
don't treat a lot of human waste either, right? And
No,
humans
we do.
use resources too, right?
Beyond. We treat human waste. A lot of animal waste goes to the yard and elsewhere, and is a ecological disaster. I know you didn't come to this debate prepared, but I can share some articles with you after this if you'd like.
I mean, look, if you could show me an analysis on the effect of dog poo on
we could. Yeah,
CO2 emissions, that would be interesting to me. But
okay, we'll handle that after this. This debate, I feel like it's kind of wrapped up. Like we've kind of come to this.
I'm not.
Right.
Wait. So what I wanted to point out was that if we take a view like yours, if we actually agree with you, what we're going to have to sign off on. Hold up. Is that?
So are you saying that if we kill all animals, we have to kill all humans? If we kill all animals, we have to kill all humans, and if we don't, then I got away with it.
Well, I don't know where you're drawing the. I don't know how you would draw that line, right? But look,
right. You don't know.
Wait. I'm providing something else now, right? So you haven't drawn that line, right? So it seems like.
Well, no, you just don't know the line I'm drawn.
It seems like
Dan,
you're not going
let him finish.
He asserted that I drew the line. Like he just doesn't know where the line that I drew is. Right? He's saying he doesn't know. So assert that, my friend.
Well, I'll state it back to you.
Let's say I know. I drew.
So you said earlier, and I think everyone heard this, that you said it wasn't actually practical to kill humans. That was what makes it. That's what makes the difference. And it seems like if I did give you that hypothetical, where what if we lived in a world where it was practical to kill humans to mitigate climate change? Would it be ethical then? And I don't think anyone rational is going to, or sensible is actually going to say yes to that. But there's another thing here. I'm trying to just make this point really quick. So I don't think that line has actually been drawn, right? So if we're going to kill all animals or all pets and all farm animals to be vegan, right? And I don't think a lot of vegans actually agree that killing animals in animal agriculture is vegan. I think that that's why they go vegan, because they don't want them to die. But the next thing is, like, if we take your definition of exploitation, where it goes is, like, to be vegan, you can't even live in the natural world, because we rely on the natural world for things like oxygen. We rely on these ecosystems for oxygen. We rely on these complex trophic webs. And if we annihilated these, if we stopped using them, right, because we're using them for air, we're using them for our existence. And if we annihilated those, or if we annihilated some of these species which are keystone, which are relied upon, then we would actually cause our own extinction. So it seems like, yeah, absolutely, we need to use animals. And it seems like that constitutes fair use when we're living in the natural world, right? But what seems like unfair use is things like things we can't justify, which I don't know if we can justify killing all of our pets. I think that we can actually justify rescuing them. I don't think we can justify breeding them. So there are these like nuanced distinctions that I don't think that you're able to respect or even respond to properly. I haven't heard a proper response yet, but you can go on.
What is it when you beg the question like that? Like, so if you insist that I haven't given you a proper response, right, it could be that you just don't want to accept or don't like my response. So I'm just going to
reject. I've rejected them.
Okay.
And I've articulated why.
We're at a stalemate then, because this is where it ends.
Just to be clear, like I don't think we're going to agree, but I do think that I can point out that you're using animals right now just to breathe air.
Okay.
And to grow food. And if you,
I would also like to. Oh, do you want me to finish up with what you said when you said your hypothetical? You said in a world where it was ethical to murder humans for climate change, that would be like, and it would, most people would say it's not. Like that doesn't make sense, because in that world it's ethical, so most people would.
No. I said where it's practical.
And then you're just trying to go back to like group mentality. If enough people think it's okay, like that's what you're saying.
No. So here's the question.
If everyone, yes. Look, Beyond just talked forever. You said if everyone agrees, and I said if everyone agrees it's okay to kill Jewish people, then it's normalized. That was normalized behavior in Nazi Germany.
No. So
and then you try to say that your hands are tied. No, yes. Then you try to add you said you were ignorant, that you couldn't know that we're going to kill everybody, if this was going to be a giant thing, that everyone's going to die, so that we can't do anything. It was the hands tied fallacy. If this happens, so therefore you can't do that. Hands tied fallacy. It's a avoid responsibility. It's responsibility deterrent. It's a responsibility.
I can clarify the question if you let me speak.
Go ahead.
So the question is, in a world where it's practical to kill humans, would you say it's ethical to kill them to mitigate climate change?
I mean, even in a world where it's unethical to kill humans, would that, like, what?
No, I'm asking whether you would think it's.
Me. I don't understand the hypothetical or what you're trying to get at.
The question is it ethical?
We're just going in circles.
No, so, the question is very straightforward.
So we're agreeing to disagree. Like, you think it's practical, and I think it's not practical. I think that's where we're at.
No. So I'm actually controlling for the practicality. I'm giving you a world where it is practical to kill humans to mitigate climate change. Would you say then that it's ethical? I don't know what's confusing about that.
But none of the reasons I'm saying it's to kill animals, I'm saying is it for moral or ethical reasons. Like, I'm not saying that it's okay. I'm just saying it's necessary. Like, if someone was attacking me and like I was like scared for my life, it wouldn't be moral or ethical for me to kill them, but I still might. And like I would just be justified. I would just be justified in doing it. It doesn't mean I wouldn't.
Yeah, justification implies more.
I wouldn't feel like the responsibility or anything, or couldn't feel the responsibility.
But it's a moral situation, right? And in that case, you would be justified in self-defense.
The problem is that you're deflecting, and I don't understand why that you have to include humans when we're talking about culling all animals that aren't humans. That's my hypothetical, and you're like, well, how about this hypothetical? Like, it's not in the hypothetical that everyone like is suddenly like, if we're killing them, then we have to kill each other too. They don't, that's not what happens. Like, I explained beyond, because it's not practical that we kill each other, because we won't stop, and then nothing will get fixed. At least in this scenario where we kill them all, we can actually try to fix the world. That's the whole point.
Wait,
the trolley problem.
I can control for that in the hypothetical. The question I just asked you.
We went over this.
The question is still on the table. That question is still on the table, right? I'm seeking an answer for this question. So here's the question. Wait, here's the question. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to infuriate you. I'm trying to just ask, and it's a simple question. Sorry. So if we could control for the practicalities, right? If we could control for this, if we could mitigate climate change by murdering humans, would you say it's ethical? And if you say that, but in the real world, it's not practical because there are all these other issues, we wouldn't stop or whatever. That's what the hypothetical is. We remove that. We say, okay, in this world, the hypothetical world, now those factors don't exist. So would it be ethical now? So you would have to answer the question with a yes or no. And I haven't heard an answer. I haven't heard you answer any hypothetical I've given you, actually.
I don't understand why I have to answer your hypothetical. And I know you went off on
because it's a debate. It's a debate. You can ask me questions. I've answered all your questions, right?
No, you haven't.
Have I not?
I told you to answer the question about the practicality, that it's not practical to kill humans, right? So give me the benefit.
I agree. Okay, I agree. It's not practical to kill humans in this world, right? So I'm giving you.
You can retract your red herring about it. We have to kill humans. That we have to think about. You insisted that we have to. You strong arm me, man. You insisted that we have to think about killing humans if we have to think about culling animals. Right, you insisted, you strong armed me, and then you insisted that we had to go with your hypothetical.
And look,
you're not getting any information. You're trying to. It's a debate, yeah, but you're trying to just push me into this, and I see it. So I'm just saying, if you want me to answer your hypothetical, you need to come to mine first, and then we'll go back to yours.
I mean, you could frame it like a strong arm, right? And I'm sure, it is a strong arm, but it seems like the question is still fair, though. In this world where it actually is practical to murder humans,
let's not be deflected. Let's not deflect onto that, and let's just stick to
that's where your virtues lead, right? So why not answer? Like it's.
I'm sorry. Are you deflecting again? I thought we were about to move on.
Just be honest.
I just want you to move on with
that's a dodge. But that's not honest. That's a dodge.
Bro, I asked you like why. Like I said something about animals, culling all animals. Please stop deflecting with humans. Try to stay on the topic, and then we'll go back to your.
I'm just showing where that view leads. That's where the virtues lead.
I promise.
So the virtues. So your virtues lead right in a world where killing humans is actually practical to mitigate climate change. Where your virtues lead is saying that that's ethical, just like you're saying it's ethical.
Yes, but you're also trying to say so. The alternative.
Yes?
You're strong arming. The alternative is
it a yes though?
No. Listen. In a world where it is practical to kill the humans, that means that it is necessary. Like it is in this world practical, because otherwise we would all die. Which is better, a total extinction or unethically killing some of each other? Which would you choose?
I'm talking about the ethical killing. I'm asking you if you think it was.
Which would you choose? Total annihilation or some killing?
I think I just have to I'm taken aback, right? Like
right. Well,
it seems like I asked you this hypothetical, and then you responded. So I asked you a question, and then answering a question with a question. I don't think that answering a question with a question is actually an answer.
Look, you're trying to get me to go past your first deflection where you tried to bring up humans and ignored my address on animals. So if you want me to continue down your route,
no,
I need you to. Are you just going to interrupt?
I answered though.
Can I finish? I'm going to need you to say that it is practical to kill humans to end climate change, because to let humans just go about and destroy the world wouldn't be practical. Like if everyone was trying to destroy the world, you would fight back, right? That would be practical then. Right?
Yeah, if it were practical, would you say it's ethical?
Yes.
Yeah. So if it's practical to murder humans or to serial kill humans,
yes,
to mitigate climate change, to just go around in the streets and murdering people.
Well, yes, but there's a reason. There's a reason that we mitigate all the animals. It's because domesticated animals are addiction. It's what we've used to destroy the world with. It's what we refuse to give up. It's what you want to keep a little bit of, like an addict.
Well, I would just like to see them phased out, right?
Yeah, slowly, so you get to use them up, and maybe, but you say you want to see them phased out, but there's no sure way that it'll actually happen, right? It could be the case that you try to phase them out, and things snowball politically, right? So it could take 20 years for us to talk ourselves out of ending animal agriculture, or maybe even some miracle comes along and turns animal agriculture more efficient and sustainable.
Yeah, so I'll just point out, I'm happy that you actually answered the
voting yes to animals.
Sorry. So I'm happy that you answered the question that you think that it would be ethical to just walk around serial killing humans if it were practical to mitigate climate change.
No, hypothetical, it was ethical to ethically kill humans.
Wait, no, that wasn't subsumed by the question. That was what the question was asking.
We almost made it, dude. Okay, let's go back to the dodge. So
wait, no, hold up.
Humans, right? I mean, if we called all animals to mitigate climate change, right?
Yes, I follow so far.
Why would we have to fucking kill humans too? Why is that a mandatory thing to
to mitigate climate?
Yeah, you're strong arming this argument. It doesn't follow that we do have to. It could make sense that it could be that it makes sense that the argument would logically follow that way, but it could also be that we would not do that, right?
Yeah, humans are fucking up the planet, right? So it seems like we would be mitigating climate change.
They're the moral agents. They're the only ones that can fix it. That's the only reason we're in this part of the argument anyway. That's why.
But if anything, that makes it even worse for us because we know. Because wait,
that's why I'm saying.
Sorry, I'm going to say one thing. I'm just trying to finish the sentence. If anything, it would be worse that we're moral agents because we actually do know better, and we're still doing wrong.
Okay, that's why I'm saying you're deflecting because you won't stop.
No, I'm saying it makes it worse. I'm not I'm actually owning the point.
you're compounding the point. Like you're not like addressing it, and you're trying to ignore it. You're using special pleading. Somehow you get.
I don't see how I'm doing that.
Like
I don't see how I'm social pleading.
So look, if we had to go to war to free the slaves, should we go to war with all humans?
No.
But why not? Like it stands to reason that if one person is going to enslave another person, that we should fight everyone and just end it all. So that's what I'm saying. Like it's like an appeal to futility. It's a red herring where you deflect on humans, which no one's talking about, and then
I don't think it's doing that. Just to be clear.
Then you say that.
Well, you lost me there, so I don't. Wait, you lost me.
And I still don't understand how it's not practical to kill humans to mitigate climate change.
Well,
I don't understand what you're trying to say with that. Like, are you trying to say that we cannot stop ourselves? Like, so if we put ourselves in a position that it would be unethical to stop ourselves from saving the planet, that we can't do it, that we shouldn't do it, that we should always look for another way, even if it means running out of time.
Well, I mean, I don't know how you're using the word practical here, but it seems like to me, right? It seems funny that you're using that word because I'm going to finish my sentence.
You asked how it's practical.
Wait, you're over talking.
You're waxing on.
Excuse me.
Just ask me how it's
Please
practical.
Let me finish. Hold up. So it seems funny that you're using the word practical because, I mean, what I would claim is that it seems more practical to allow people to have their pets and to phase them out instead of just murdering them. It doesn't seem practical that, like, I mean, and when you say practical, right, you're just going to run into things like, you're including things like logistical issues, pragmatics, you're including all these real world tangible things that occur, right? Like people disagreeing. And it seems like it's more agreeable and therefore more practical to have a situation that more people agree with. And it seems like nobody agrees with this. I mean, there might be one or two like fringe psychopaths who agree with this position of just murdering all pets. But I don't think that that's actually even practical at all. So I don't even know why you invoked that to begin with, because it seems like it's going to cut against your own view. It's actually like the death of your view. I think it completely refutes any point that you're going to make after. Hey, you can unmute Dan.
So do you think backyard eggs should be vegan?
I think there's like edge case. Like edge case.
And it's hypothetical, just say yes or no, that's all I want.
So I need a lot of
yeah, it's okay to own
harness,
as long as you're
there's a really loaded question, right? But like I just want to point out that I'm just gonna wait. Please, I honestly want to engage with you. Just please don't overtalk me. Just let me respond. So I'll answer, right? I'm just pointing out that
you're taking a long
question. That question doesn't actually respond to anything that I've just said, right? So I just said some problems for your view, and instead of responding to like any of them, you just said something random. Like you just said some random question, right? Which actually just seems like it is a red herring to engage with that. So I don't know if I'm going to want to do that. But like, if you'll stop over talking, like the model will just stop unmuting you.
Type your questions in the chat. Whatever it was, your criticisms that you just had, type them in the chat.
Yeah, I can clarify right now. So the criticism was that when you invoke practicality, if what you mean by practicality is like the pragmatic and logistical issues, such as like people agreeing with your view.
Type it in the chat, Ron. Type it in the chat. I'm in the debate chat.
What? I mean, it seems like strange.
We don't have to. When you come back to it, we don't have to talk about it. We can just point to the chat. So I'm going to hit you with the argument.
There's a recording, right? Like we can point to the recording.
Ad dictionarium. So you're
just like a broken record.
I need to address the like. I mean, like, it just doesn't make sense. You know, like you're coming after the fact.
I can't keep doing it, right? I don't know what you mean by argumentum ad dictionarium. Like, I'm not appealing to a specific word, right? I'm just saying, like if this is what you mean, then it sounds weird to say that, because what you're advocating for is actually incredibly unpractical, which is the murder of all pets.
That what I'm saying is different, right? That you're saying my definition of...
Sorry, did that come through? Like, did you hear what I just said?
You said weird. What do you mean by the word weird? Weird means different, right?
Can you just state the last sentence I said back to me, just so I know that you're listening?
What I said is weird. That's what you said.
Yeah, why?
You said what I said is weird.
Yeah.
And what you mean by that is different, right? And that's what you said before. You said that what I'm saying is different. And that's
okay,
what I'm saying.
That's not really what I said, right? So I'll just re-clarify to make sure that you're listening, because I want you to hear what I'm saying and then engage with my points.
I mean, I've engaged.
That's how we have an honest debate
over again.
So I think it's weird to invoke practicality at all if what you mean is that it's agreeable or pragmatic, or like it aligns with the real world, and then you can actually actualize it. Because I don't think that many people are actually going to get on board and sign off on murdering their pets. I don't think that that's actually practical at all. So I think invoking practicality conflicts with your own position. I don't think you can do that.
Okay. Killing all humans, not practical. They have weapons and they can stop you from killing them. Killing all animals.
But I have weapons.
70 billion of them a year. We kill 70 billion of them a year, every year, and we're good at doing it, and we can get it done lickety split.
Yeah, but it's sort of weird to say that too, because humans
it's definitely different.
Because humans, because for the same reason, right? Humans have weapons to prevent you from killing their dog, right? Like, I know many rednecks who will shoot you if you trespass on their property and try to kill their dog. So it seems not practical to do that.
We kill all animals every year. We're just doing it one more time. How's that not practical?
Yeah, but like trespassing on a redneck's property to kill their dog, it does not seem practical.
Okay,
there are a whole host of issues.
Yeah, if I don't trespass on that redneck's yard, is my entire species going to die?
I don't look. I think like what you end up doing is just what you're doing at best, right? Like if I steelman that, right? If I take the best interpretation of that, all you're doing is postponing all you're doing is postponing the inevitable, right? Like, you're not creating solutions, you're just kind of slowing the ball from rolling off the cliff by a few milliseconds.
Let's look at this calling in the common good, reevaluating harms and benefits. We don't have to. I mean, the conversation's over. We're stalled at practical and unpractical because we can't agree on the definition, right? Because I want to stick to one definition, but
what do you take practical to mean?
When I try to stick to one definition, you're jumping to why.
Just tell me your definition.
No, sir. I'm done. Argumentum. I'm going to finish with argumentum ad definitionem and conclude.
But asking for clarity is not a fallacy. Do you understand that?
I mean,
this is going to be really silly on recording, right? Like, asking for clarity is not a fallacy that I'm aware of. How
many times have you asked for clarity, though?
I think we do it in debate all the time. I think it's a necessary component.
That's funny. Like, I usually don't. I usually know what everybody means all the time.
Yeah, but you run into the private language problem there. Right?
Yeah, but you're asserting that there's some kind of private language problem that doesn't exist. You're red herring. You're straw manning.
Well, what actually happens is you just end up talking past each other and equivocating, because what you mean, but when you say dog, can mean one thing, right? And when And when I say dog, sorry, I'm
Do you
speaking.
want closing
Sorry.
arguments? Or
Excuse me. Sure, but like when I
Okay.
say dog, I might think of a certain type of dog, and when you say dog, you might think of another type of dog.
Is this a lecture? Is this a lecture or a debate? Just let's do closing
Well,
arguments.
look, like you're accusing me of some fallacy in a debate, and I don't think that you can actually back up that claim. So,
Okay.
I'm allowed to push back on it.
Well, I mean, no, like I said something, and then you said that you disagree with my definition, and so then I made a claim that you were using argumentum ad dictionarium, and that
I was asking. No, that's not what happened.
and you're saying that it's not true, and that's fine. That's where we stand, right? That's where we stand.
No, so
You're refuting me. I'm refuting.
So it's going to sound really stupid when you hear it later, but when someone asks for clarity, like when they ask for a definition for a word, they're not appealing to like the dictionary in terms of like some fallacy. I don't even know what that would mean, right?
So are you asking if I have a different definition than the quality or state of being practical, or the aspects of the situation that involve the actual doing or experience of something rather than theories or ideas?
I mean, it seemed like you used the word practical to define practical, so it seems sort of circular, but
you're asking for a definition. How can you asking for a definition not be circular?
Well, typically, definitions will not include the word you're trying to define, because then it's not informative.
Oh, I mean, but it's still circular, right? Like if a word explains itself, like it can be circular.
Yeah, but it could be informative, right? And because otherwise it's
let's get back on.
Wait, no, it's incredibly on topic though.
What are you talking about? No, that wasn't.
Yeah, so what I just asked for was the definition of practical, right? Uh-huh. And then you said I committed a fallacy, and then you provided some definition, which
no, I said you can.
To me, right, doesn't sound like
I already called you out on it. But if you wanted the definition, so are you saying that I'm using a definition, the second definition now, or that you have another definition that you use that isn't applying to the situation? Like, so now I'm saying that now that you know the definition, is it somehow different? Because you said I'm using,
like how you're using the word practical.
Yes, and then you said like you wanted to know my definition of it. I gave it to you, and you said that it was circular reasoning, which doesn't make sense because if you ask me for a definition and I gave you the definition and then it fits that definition, like it's like you're
well, it seems like the definition you gave is going to apply equally negative to your position. But I'll just make a meta point as well, that when you like fallacy spot like that and you can't actually justify or coherently explain why I committed a fallacy.
What about all the other times? What about all the other times I've done it earlier?
Yeah, well, that just makes it look worse, right? And if you can't justify any of them, then like for anyone listening, they're not like it actually counts against you, right?
So when you ask for clarity, right? You've been asking for clarity this entire time you ask for clarity on words like exploitation, and you've never actually gone past after the clarification. You just say that I look bad.
Well, look, I think that rescuing pets. Like I think that rescuing pets is fair. I think rescuing pets is justified.
You're just trying to tell me that, like, what was it? I blanked out.
I think rescuing pets is justified. So
right.
It's definitely not going to be exploitation. I mean, that's just my view. I mean, and I haven't heard you attack that. I've heard some other definition of exploitation that I don't use, right?
Rescue and adoption aren't vegan because they support animal domestication.
Okay, well, I think I'm ready for closing statements. Yeah. If you want to go first, or if you want to let me go first, or whatever.
You go first.
Okay, so in short, I don't think I've committed any fallacy. Maybe someone listening could point one out to me. That would be enlightening. But Dan says that using animals at all is exploitation, and I don't think anyone uses that definition. I think in terms of resource use, they might, but not in terms of animal exploitation. I think that what we're seeking for morally speaking, is some kind of justification for what's occurring. And I've provided a justification for that. I think that that rescuing animals is actually like going to increase well-being. I don't see how that's exploitation at all, even. But if we want to go with his definition of exploitation, which is just the use at all, then inevitably he's going to be using animals. Like we rely on animals for our own existence. So by definition, he wouldn't be vegan either. Like there's nothing he could do to actually be vegan unless like he killed himself, which I don't think that he's going to agree with that either. So we have to use another definition, and I would just supply my own, which is just exploitation constitutes the unfair use. And I think that breeding animals against their, to have traits that are against their interest or to make profit, I think that that's unfair. So I'm against that. But rescuing animals that do exist, I think that there's nothing that you can really say that's going to cut against that. I think that that's actually going to be fair. And I also think that killing farm animals is not vegan. Although I think it's strange how Dan would say that killing animals is necessary to be vegan, which I think is very controversial. I haven't heard a good explanation for that either. But thanks for the debate.
Okay, closing arguments. I'd like to point out that Beyond has always tried to have a different form of veganism. Everybody usually tries to have a different style of veganism, or insists that there's more than one type of veganism. And I've never followed that paradigm. I've always stuck to my guns, and I've been defending my points. He keeps on asserting that he just hasn't seen any good ideas, or he doesn't understand why. But I've explained that domesticated animals are well, I don't even know if we talked about it, but domesticated animals, unless we cull all domesticated animals, there's no chance that we're going to mitigate climate change in any speedy way. And that those that argue against doing it now only do so because they aren't the victims. Much like in the Civil War, how people that weren't slaves argued that they had plenty of time to wait, or that there were different ways to deal with slavery or ending slavery other than right now. I think I had one more closing comment. But I don't really like the way, I feel like he was dishonest the way he debated about how it's a popularity contest. I felt like I was trying to debate with him if casual alcohol use should be banned, even though like 90% of the world is alcoholic, or I feel like he's just trying to gaslight that it's actually not a problem. And that's why I talk about the slavery thing, where if you don't act like it's a problem, and you won't admit that it's a problem, then these debates will go circular like this. So he's just using his intuition and feelings to to compartmentalize and deflect his part in animal exploitation. Well, coming up, I guess, because he doesn't own any pets right now. But in this summer, he will.
Sorry, I was having a phone call for like the last 3 or 5 minutes. Did somebody concede, or are we just making it a voting poll?
Yeah.
Look, why would it be a voting thing? Like, it's kind of dumb to put it up to a vote, right? It's like voting. It's like voting who wants to keep pets, right? It's like asking a bunch of 14-year-olds if they want to keep pets or not. Like, you don't put it to a vote.
Does that mean nobody conceded, or did you concede? Did Beyond concede?
Oh, no, it's just on the debate. It's just on the debate. If you guys want to vote like just on how we did debate wise, then I mean I don't really care.
Oh, okay, so no one
I
conceded.
didn't see anything impressive. I just saw him deflecting and then fucking special pleading and then using intuition a lot. Like I saw, or I
we gave closing statements.
Okay, sweet. Sorry I missed that. And thank you guys for debating. I appreciate it.